Hello and welcome to another episode of the Selfish Podcast. Today we have Franklin and we're going to get to know his life, his journey, and his self. But first, Franklin, I just want to say hello. Can you say hello to the audience and let them know where you're listening from, where you're recording, and what time of day it is?
Easy. Hello, everyone. Whoever's listening to this. As Luke said, my name is Franklin. Currently, I'm listening or recording this in Brisbane City in Australia, Queensland. So if you haven't been in Australia, come down. It's beautiful. A lot of beaches. Just a beautiful place to be. Yeah, that's currently right now. I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern time, so at night. But yeah, I'm keen for this. This is gonna be a good one.
Beautiful, man. It's an amazing time to be able to just connect with people from all over. Like, we're in totally different time zones. It's early in the morning for me, and
For real,
nighttime for
what
you.
time?
For me now, it's nearly midday, so not too early, but it's nearly
Okay, cool.
midday
Yeah,
now.
that's good. That's nice. That's nice. That's
But
good.
yeah, I've got the whole day ahead after this, whereas you'll be settling down, I assume.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, for me, it's like after this, it's pretty much like bedtime, man. I'll be gone, touch bed, and I'll be out.
Nice.
For real.
Franklin, I want to get to know you a bit more and a bit more personally. So I want to know
Yeah, let's do it,
about
dude.
your childhood. How was life like, sort of pre 10 years old? Can you paint me a picture of like where you grew up and how your childhood was?
Yeah. So 10 years old. I primarily, so I was born in Congo. Came through. So lived in Zimbabwe for a few years. So born Congo, traveled, got to Zimbabwe, lived there for 5 years, and then 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 7, 8 came to Australia, and yeah, pretty much with no English at all. In a land where the primary language is English, and yeah, it was just madness and beauty and chaos, really. But yeah, dude, 10 years old, I was very much of a very enigmatic kid, very friendly, very open to new things, open to new ideas, highly curious, very very curious, which got me into trouble a lot. But I was sneaky enough to somewhat get away with it without my teachers knowing how curious and naughty I was. But yeah, literally that was me, just a fragrant of life. That would be the best description of me when I was young. Just
Oh,
just wanted
nice.
to know everything. Just wanted to know everything.
Yeah, and it's interesting you traveled so young. Like, what's your memories like of the Congo before you actually traveled
Yeah,
that
pretty much.
far? Do you
So
have?
I have the only memories that I have because I was so young when I was in Congo. The only memories that I have is Zimbabwe. So I was like about 6, 7, I think. When I was in Zim, the memories that I had was pretty much stealing mangoes a lot,
Do you
getting in
say?
trouble a lot. Yeah, stealing mango, fam. Like so, you see a mango tree and you're like, I want to climb that. Let's go. So you get your boys and you go, yo, let's plan a tactic here. You be the lookout. Let's grab some mangoes.
Oh, nice.
That and also just playing in the dirt. I mean, I would get home just like because I used to play football, and yeah, literally after school it was just pretty much being in the dirt, just playing football on a regular basis. Getting home and being drenched in just red dust, and your mother's looking at you like, "Who have I given birth to?"
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. Me in Zimbabwe, that was pretty much the way that I would understand or remember it. But from a much more emotional point of view, Zimbabwe was very very a pivotal moment in my life where you really see the chaos of what it was like to live in a very poverty like country,
Yeah.
um, and also just the beauty as well in like how you could, depending on your perspective in life, you can really cherish it or allow your external environment to really kill you.
Hmm.
And I have amazing parents that didn't allow the external to detect the way that we feel or react to the life. So shout out to them. And yeah, that was pretty much that. So I think my parents protected me in a lot of things and a lot of factors that I didn't see at a young age, at a young age. Until now, looking back, I'm like, holy smoke,
Oh,
they
yeah.
protected us for a lot from a lot of things, and I am so so grateful
What
for that.
did your parents do, and why did they choose Australia?
Yeah, so pretty much, so my parents, I think, again, my parents, they studied in Congo. I think mom didn't study. I think dad did. I think he did agriculture. So the reason why we left was war, really. So we had to take refuge in other countries as refugees and stuff, and that was that. So that was the biggest effect, man. It was simply war. We couldn't live in the country that we were in. Our area, our tribe, our village, yeah, it was just distorted, and it wasn't the best place to raise kids, from my understanding. And that's why we moved, just to find refuge somewhere else, man. And somehow we, by the luck, by the grace of God, if you're with that, we landed in Australia, man. So that was the biggest thing. So super thankful, super grateful. Yeah, but that was
Oh,
the biggest
nice.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And it sounds like your parents done a good job just getting you out and getting you somewhere. How
Yeah,
was
dude, I look back at it, man, and I'm just like, it wasn't easy. Hey, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't easy. Looking back now in hindsight, and the stories that you'll tell me, just it wasn't easy because you living in a, I guess, if people that are from, have ever been in a refugee camp or have seen it, or that have come from a place like that, it's just it's brutal. Like life is real, you know. Like you might think that the person that you're with is a friend, but they're not. You know what I mean? Like it's things could turn south like that, you know.
yeah.
So it's yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and how was school life for you? So I imagine you done most of your school in Australia. How was school and fitting in, and did you enjoy
Yeah,
it?
yeah, dude, I loved school. School was good for me, especially primary school. Um, when I was in primary school, I was like, this is awesome, this is great. It was just a lot of learning because, again, I'm a curious mind, so it was just like, let me just do everything that I can and see where life, like, see where it takes me, man. But it was challenging in the fact of like trying to communicate to people. I think the first thing that I found that was the hardest was communicating. I remember my first day in coming into primary school, and I literally just had to just go in a room and just sit there and just listen to people talk. I still remember that pivotal moment. Luckily, one of my teachers knew French, so he was conversing with me because I think from that age my dad was teaching us French. So I knew a little bit of French to communicate with him and whatnot, and then that's the way that we kind of picked up the language and started molding me into learning English through pretty much his broken French
Yeah.
and my somewhat novice of French from there. So it was kind of just like that. Yeah, dude. But like, man, primary school was a weird space. Hey, like on one aspect, it was awesome. I made great friends, and then after primary school, looking back, there were people that were like, "Yo, people actually didn't like you." I'm like, for real? I thought y'all loved me, and and some people were like, we can't get angry at you because there's nothing for us to get angry at you, but for some reason we just don't like you. And I was like, I bet. So I guess it's your problem. But like, just looking back in hindsight, man, that's me talking to people from like old teachers that I'm still in contact with, um,
Yeah.
telling me that. And I'm just like, this is crazy. I thought I was loved.
Yeah. No, interesting.
But yeah, dude. Yeah, it was just an interesting environment, man. But yeah, it was awesome. Loved it, every single moment of it.
Oh, nice. Do you remember your first like ambition or drive, like something you saw, like I wanted to be a cowboy, I want to be an astronaut, or
Oh,
anything
dude,
that?
I wanted, man, I wanted to be a football player. That was it. that was that was where it's at. I was like, yeah, I want to become a professional football player, pro. So I don't know whoever's listening. When I say football, I mean football, not like the NFL or the rugby or the NRL.
As you mean
Yeah,
soccer, like
proper
soccer
football.
in America
Stock,
and football in
soccer in
England?
America, football in England, and somewhat football in Australia, but they call it soccer here. And I'm like, I do not understand you people. um, so yeah, football. That was really my biggest ambition. I was like, I want to become a professional football player. That's my goal. That's my drive, and I worked hard for it, man. I was 16. I was training with the first team, meaning the first team was like people that were like at least 23, 22. I was training with that, and I was like in the league called the National Premier League at 16. In high school, I was playing for my is an excellent school, right? Meaning that they had football programs, and we were probably the best football program in Queensland. Went
Mm.
and won. I think we came second on a national level. So that was my trajectory in life, man. But yeah, life happened, and the thing was like, I knew that I started going into academia more, and I started loving that. And my dad had to sit me down and be like, "Yo, football might not be the right, direction for you. Although you love it so much, it's just the economy here versus where you really want to go might not be the best. Yeah, the best trajectory for you, and the amount of effort that you might need to put in is so much greater than the actual reward, depending on where you want to go. Because one, the ecosystem is not right for you right now. So yeah, you might want to choose something else. So I think about that, and I think from then, that's when I was like, wow, this is what making big decisions is like. That sacrificial side of thinking really on a bigger picture, not on a fantasy. Yeah, that broke me. I was like, but I took it on the chin, and I understood I understood the responsibility. I understood where my father was coming from, and yeah, from then I just went ham Sam, for the people that are in Australia or that doesn't know that lingo. Pretty much just went psycho with academia, and now I'm currently studying engineering and mathematics. About to finish soon. Working for one of the top engineering companies, I would say, in the world. And yeah, so it's just been a journey, man. It's been a journey. So that's really my biggest ambition was football. I was like, I want to be the top player in Australia and go represent Australia, and probably go play in the EPL. That was it. I was like, let's go.
Okay, nice. And so now that's just like more of your passion, that you just play rather than play for that ambition now? Do you still play?
Now it's just, I don't play. I think, here's the thing, man. I tell people this, they don't understand it. The amount of sacrifice that I had to put in for football, sometimes when I do play, it's just like, it kind of hurts. It still kind of hurts, like, oh. So I have to somewhat moderate that when I could, when I start playing, I kind of get too intense, and I'm just like, chill, bro, chill. But now I play it for fun, and but currently I've been loving a different sport. I've been weightlifting, and that's for the last 2 years, and that's just been amazing. Understanding how to control your body, understanding the mechanics of your body. I think that's just been super, super peaceful and super humbling as well, because I am a 6'2", 6'3" man, and weightlifting is not for tall, elongated people that are narrow in frame. And yeah, it's humbling.
Yeah, humbling. No, that's real good, man. What comes to mind first when I say what was your earliest struggle in life?
Yeah, ooh, let's go there, man. I think the earliest struggle was comparison. That was my biggest early struggle in life, hands down. Coming from a place of like, from a country where it's just crazy in the way that people view you. And this is a weird thing for me. Comparison was not just because I'm black, but it was a weird thing because I've gotten a stage in my life, especially when my teenagers, where even people that were African or that were black never really liked me. And then people that were also Caucasian kind of find me different. So I was just in this weird space of just trying to compare myself to other people, trying to figure out who I am. And that was tough, Sam. That was really tough. But yeah, like that wasn't the biggest in comparison. I think I had to fight that, especially coming in high school. I had to really figure out, like, hey, look, the way that people view you, that doesn't matter. What matters is the way that you view you and how you think you're enough, and it's not something that I haven't gotten rid of it. Like, it's a work in progress, man, because I think there is that little bit of yourself sometimes when you do have to, you compare yourself, like, oh, you got to catch that, why are you comparing yourself? Someone caught me out the other day. I was talking to a friend and she was just like, why do you care about what people say to you? And I'm like, but for that, it was really that. But that was one of the biggest struggles. The next one was really the sexuality side of things, meaning like not my identity or anything, but primarily just like, pornography. Really, man, I'm just gonna be real. I think that was still is right now, thing that I'm working towards, to kind of trying to figure out why I'm again obsessed over it, or not even that, just kind of trying to figure out, okay, why am I still dependent on this thing? And it's a work in progress, and I'm struggling, and I'm working towards that, trying to get clarity and just, how would you say, control and awareness of that, because it is something that, when you start off when you're really young, and then the sense of comparison comes through, and then that's to make yourself a little bit better, feel a little better, you dabble into that, and then that perpetuates this weird cycle of just like continuous thing. Yeah, man. So that's one of my biggest struggles. I think comparison, and I think that sense of that lustful side. And I'm not saying from a lustful side of like biblical aspect, but just like people watching porn. It's not sexy. It's just yuck. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. That's just weird, bro. I don't know. No matter what your thing is, but that's just like go find yourself a lady.
Yeah. No, it's a really
like,
I find it a really interesting topic, because it's like some people find it, so many people are doing it, yet it's something so many people don't talk about or share, and there's only a handful of people really that like talk about it comfortably or openly. And I remember like from a kid, I thought you grow out of it, I assumed, when you're an adult this just stops, is what I thought. And then when you turn into like your 20s and that, and you realize, wait a minute, I'm grown and it's not stopping.
Yeah. It's of course, yeah, dude. It doesn't stop, because here's the thing people don't realize about this, and when I tell people when I was really young, like I was, again, maybe it was when I was really young. I think like myself, I would say I am a faith-filled person, where I go to church and everything, right, and whatnot, and that's when I was just that real. I'm like, man, you're different, fam. Maybe that's the way that people thought, this guy's trying to be perfect. I'm like, no, bro, I'm not trying to be perfect. It's just trying to have a better life and trying to control yourself, and trying to think about this, like the way that thing, like just porn changes your mindset, man. And then you get into a relationship, and then you think that will stop, or the way that you view females will stop. That doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Like people don't connect stuff together sometimes,
Yeah, I think
that's just the way that I was thinking.
Well, I had like when I was younger, I was, because of I think the stimulation you get at a young age, and how much sort of impact there is in your young age, stimulates whether you're going to sort of wake up and have a heightened awareness. So I think like you're traveling from the Congo, moving and doing all that at such a young age, and seeing the extreme polarization of sort of people, climates, all that, like give you a heightened awareness. And like I had the same, and through my teens, I had all these questions, and I was wondering, and I was so curious. But I didn't understand that the other kids didn't have the same curiosity, didn't have the same awareness. And I would be thinking, like you said, I want to grow, I want to change, I want to develop, I want to do all these things. And the other kids just weren't even interested. They weren't a topic of conversation.
Yeah. I remember. This is the weird thing for me. I remember in high school, like I didn't hang around. I think there was a moment in time. I think it was either a semester or a year that I didn't hang out with dudes, because they were just weird. Like I just remembered hanging out with chicks, and I was like, I'm gonna hang out with you because you're somewhat mature.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that. When I was in school, it was girls that I'd have proper conversations with. I didn't have girlfriends. I weren't even interested, sort of. I was at half and half,
exactly.
But I was a little timid. But I could have like full-blown conversation with them, and I felt with the guys, it was always half. It was like it never had any depth.
Childish.
Yeah, and then they would be like flirting with the girls in a terrible way, and I'd be like, I don't want to do that. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
I hear you. Like that's definitely that was definitely me as well, man. Where you like the way that you speak together and see other dudes do that, and you're like, why are you doing that? Like I don't understand. Like, but yeah, I think you're right, man. It was that sense of awareness for me, and maybe it might have been definitely my experience through experiencing different culture at a young age, really, really fast, and going through that change or that metamorphosis of that sense of awareness in myself and also the environment that I'm in. You start really becoming really analytical very, very quickly, and from a survival point of view. So I think, that helped me just mold me to the young person that I was back then, and it helped me, man. I'm not gonna lie, it helped me a lot, man, because I developed a tough skin, a really tough skin, because you really had to, from my perspective, or you would have just crumbled. So
no, that's great. I really want to get a bit more into the pornography side, because again, I think so many people can relate to it, and I'm really interested where you are with your journey on it. But like, because for me, it's something that I was addicted to, something I had to quit. And not
Of
just
course.
for me, it was quitting the pornography. That was one bad thing. Then I wanted to
Mm.
quit masturbation full stop. Like
Oh,
I
dude,
didn't
yeah,
see the point of it. And I feel
of
like,
course.
when they say like, oh, how long you been sober? Like I've been sober now for a long time. And,
Dude, that's so good. That's amazing.
but
Yeah.
a lot of
No, I want to
people,
get there. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people, I've had people that really actually want it. Like there's something in them. They're like, no,
Mm.
I really don't like, some people defend it. And some people
No.
they're like, no, I want it. I've realized that I'm addicted. I realized, and I think you touched on the word earlier, you become dependent on it. So
Of course.
I think when you're
Of course.
aware, you crave natural to crave freedom. So you want
Mm.
independence. And the only way you can be independent
Mm.
is to not be dependent on as many things as possible. So to gain that freedom within
Exactly.
is a lack of external
Exactly.
control. So having
Dude.
that one element. And yes, I wonder
Yeah.
how
Dude.
when did it
Yeah. So for
really
me,
like come to your mind that you wanted to that it's an issue and that you want to
yo,
stop it for yourself?
it came to my mind when I was 14, fam. That's how
Yeah.
young. I mean, like after high school, because 14 I started going to the football academy, right? Like I was starting going into the progression of football and being disciplined. So started searching up all this stuff of how do I get better. So 14, 15, I think every man's battle. It was a weird. What is this all about, right? Just over my auntie's place. She's a really close friend of ours. I call her auntie, just out of respect and just love. And I read this book that I think maybe one of her sons used to have, and the son was much older than me. I was staying in his one of his son's house room, staying over, and I read this book. It was like Every Young Man's Battle, and I read that, and I was like, this is the feeling and it was talking about the danger of pornography from a spiritual point of view as well, right? So they introduce a lot of biblical concepts and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this makes sense from a biblical point of view. But then they didn't really cover the brain side. I think they do sometimes, but it wasn't really. But it was very skewed towards the biblical principle of why not to lust and stuff and yada 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 yada. But for me, I was like, oh, that's cool. I hear you, but let's dig deep into this. Let's actually do some more research on this, right? Started doing more research, and I came by I think it was the Fight the New Battle. I don't know if you know about it, right? Fight the New Battle, Porn Kills Love website thing, and it was talking about pornography and what it does to you and all that. So I started researching hard on that, and I was like, this is mental. This is crazy. Mind you, I'm 23 now, right? So that's like, yeah, that's how many years? Like at least like 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
About 9. Yeah, 9 years. So like, that's like, so from there, I literally just started going deep into reading about what pornography is, the way that it shapes your mind. Started talking about neuroplasticity. So I was like, I want to change. Like from then, I was like, yo, I gotta change this thing. I gotta stop this thing. And I went on, like sporadically. I would have periods of like 1 year sober, 6 weeks sober. I think I remember like when I was 20, I went for a whole year. I think so. I was like, this is amazing. This feels awesome. This is great. Then stuff happened in my life. I started, and that's another story to talk about, my guy. Going into a relationship and stuff and whatnot, and that stuffed me up. Got in a really bad mental cycle, and that was 20. COVID happened, all this stuff, and then I had all this traumatic experience as well. So I started getting dependent on that thing again, right?
Yeah.
Until kind of like this year, for me, I really wanted to like, let's actually do this properly. So currently seeing a psychologist, just to not to get rid of the pornography, but mostly just to understand my identity of who I am as a person. Because I think what happens is people could try to get rid of I don't know if the symptom or the thing, but they don't really want to solve the problem, right? They want to get rid
Yeah.
of the thing, the pornography or the addiction and whatnot, but they don't really want to find the root of the problem. So for me, I started switching my mindset. I was like, yo, last year was a year of me really just from a physical, like really just getting my mindset, like, okay, getting it primed to be like, we're going to change, like mentally. Physically, we're changing, which is good, like hitting the gym, which is awesome. Getting to a really physical state where I feel comfortable in my own body and it's awesome. And I love looking at myself. Like, I mean, like, not in a weird way, but like when you look at yourself and you're like, yo, I love you, that's, so I'm there. But mentally, I'm like, we need to sort that out like now, because the worst thing is for me when I was thinking about this is like, man, I don't want to, like, I'm single now, but man, think about if I bring someone to my life, or think about the businesses that I create, or the companies that I run, or whatever I do, I will always have people depending on me, right? So I want to get in a better state of mind where I can be able to think properly, think carefully, and think critically. But I think for me, I was like, I need to get rid of this thing, and I want to do it like ASAP, but I want to do it properly. So for me right now, I think I'm seeing a psychologist. I'm dealing with that aspect, and I know it's going to be a journey. I know it's going to be tough. I mean, like, it's probably going to be the toughest thing in my life right now, rather than finishing uni and then that. But yeah, for me, that's where I'm at right now, man. And it's been good. I just came back from had an appointment with one of my psychologists, like, I think the other day, and it's so nice. I don't know whoever's struggling out there, man. I don't know. Get people in your circle that you can talk about this openly. People that you can feel comfortable to talk about openly, and they don't have this prejudgment on you, because you have friends sometimes when you tell them and you're like, yo, I'm about to change this, they look at you like you're crazy. You're like, bro, what the heck? What's wrong with you? Like, it's a natural thing to do. Like, you're a dude. How are you gonna stop masturbating, or how are you gonna stop watching porn? Like, that's like, they'll start doing the whole. It's a innate thing for dudes to do. I'm like, that's true, homie, but not like obsessively. Everything that you think about is like, I wanna, go jack off and stuff. I want to look at chicks online and stuff, like, that's, for me, that's unhealthy, and that's like super obsessive. And I'm just like, man, for me, all the passion that I have, I want to do that for my partner, right? I want to enjoy my partner's body, not in the sense of comparing her to other chicks' body, because that's so unrealistic, right? And it destroys your libido, fam. I'm like, I have a pretty high libido, and it hasn't destroyed me as yet. But like, and I hope it doesn't, because I'm getting it sorted. But I've heard stories, man, where the dudes couldn't really be able to they have a beautiful girlfriend, like, I mean, like, stunning, and they weren't able to have sex, man. I was like, geez, I don't want to have that problem. You know what I mean? I want to satisfy my girl when I do. Like, I don't want to. I just don't want to have that pain and cause, and then she'll be thinking, is it me? Is it? And then that causes this weird sense of comparison and just chaos and confusion, and it's just not healthy, bro. So for me right now with it, it's just like a process of healing, really. I think trying to figure out exactly what my identity is, one, from a spiritual point of view, and from the way that I see myself. And I'm in a good space right now. I'm in a really, really good space. A good space that I haven't been in a while, dude. I mean, like, trust me. We can go into it, man. Like, I haven't been in a good space in a while. I mean, like, 3 years until the last year now, where I've actually been like, yeah, I am proud of you, dude. That's the conversation I'm having with me myself right now. So yeah, it's a journey, but I know that I wanna, I'm gonna get it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely want to touch on the cause and effect of your last 3 years. But first, I just wanted to add on to the pornography side and the masturbation side. Like, for me, I've when I shared it with people, like, I put a video up online about it, and I've shared it with people in real life, and for the most part, most guys will defend it and say, like you said, it's natural, it's innate, you should do it, it's healthy to do it, and all this. But when I try and observe as much as I can, looking at the sort of big picture, so I look at people, but I look at animals and look at the life and the earth and everything, and just look, how do things live? I'm part of this earth, like a bird is, like a monkey is, like anything. And I've had people go, oh, even animals masturbate. And I was like, right, do they really? Yeah. I've never seen one masturbating in the wild. But I've never seen one. Yeah, but I've seen them masturbate in the zoo. So I started to think, okay, so when you're a captive animal, you get these bad habits, you get sick, you masturbate. And I was like, okay, maybe that, if you want freedom, if you want to be a free animal on this earth, then you don't need these little stimulations and this little, and like you said, and it's looking within, it's like, why am I doing it? What's that feeling that I'm missing that this is giving me? And I found it to be too. Yeah, so.
No, continue.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I found for myself, like, it was like when I was younger, there were two things that could make me feel good during trauma. Like, I had a really chaotic childhood, and it was like really traumatizing. And there was two things that always could balance me a little bit, and that would be food or masturbation. But when I was younger, we
Right.
was like, we could go days, or like we often only ate if a food box turned up at the house. Like we had no food a lot of the time, so
Wow.
food wasn't
Wow.
always available. So, but
Mm.
masturbation is always available,
Always
you know?
available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and then that, when I was younger, became a stimulation when I was not feeling good. But because we're a
Yeah.
different age, like I'm 10, 12 years older than you, when I was
Right.
a kid, there wasn't the internet. There wasn't,
Oof.
pornography wasn't as
You,
easily
you, you,
available.
you, you had to dig it out from the VCR, my brother. You had to go
Well, for
deep.
me, yeah, it was a cat. I remember my first memories, yeah, of like masturbation pornography was actually
Mm.
like we had these catalog books that you could get from the shop that were like the
Oh
shop that
yeah.
sells everything, and it sells
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
gym equipment to a tent to everything, but it had a whole section in it which was just lingerie,
Yeah.
just like bras and
Yes.
underwear. And when I was a
Yeah.
little
Yeah. Yeah.
kid, that was so stimulating that if I
Mm.
even was looking, I was looking at like toys, yeah, and if I happened to flick on that
Bro.
page, it's like instinct. I just couldn't not do it. It's like, oh, if
Yeah.
you're alone or you can get time alone now,
Bro, you
like
said.
that
And that's it.
stimulation was so strong. So I really
Mm.
think about like if a male, especially a male, but I think it's similar for a female. But if we can be stimulated by another, like whatever we're attracted to so easily, like how much that
Mm.
changes our mindset and our focus and our drive in that moment.
Dude,
And then when I went
I
through this
feel like,
period now,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
there's like
No,
porn now.
continue. Yeah.
You can watch a
Yeah.
music video, and that's so vastly more pornographic than the,
Dude,
the picture of a bra I saw when I was a kid. Like I don't
bro.
know what that's doing to children now that are
And
trying
that's
to go through
and that's the
puberty.
thing
And
that scares the thing out of me, man. It just scares the shit out of me because, like, you know, I used to love watching a lot of hip hop and like just the sense of like African music, like that very sensual music. Like I'm Congolese, man. Congolese people are known for like moving their hips like it's fluid.
yeah,
and and me being in that environment of like the music that I listen to, man, that simple things like that would trigger me, right? And now it's so normalized, it's not even funny. And I'm not hating for people that listen to amazing music. I listen to R&B, like I listen to Pop Smoke, like just stuff like that. But still, it's like the normalization of stuff like that. It's so bizarre in comparison to back like when I was like when you were young as well. Like it's just crazy. And then the worst thing is I think people just don't know the effect that it has. It's not like there's nothing wrong. I would say there's from our perspective, it's like there's nothing wrong with people having music and the way that they dress, but it's just like how you perceive your perception from a young age, right? You see a female and all you think about is, yo, look at those boobs. Like, you know what I mean? Like at a young
yeah,
age, right? You're not thinking about the person, you're not thinking about how they
yeah,
feel. Your perspective of the opposite sex or the person that you're attracted to, it's all from a sexual point of view. And although sometimes it's like that's a little bit of it where you're like, ooh, well, she's attractive, or ooh, he's attractive. Um, yes, that might be an ignition to get to know that person. But sometimes that ignition stays there too long where your perception of the person is just based on sex and based on just, yo, look at the, like from an objective point of view. And yeah, I don't know. People could debate that and say that it's just normal, but I think it's not normal, man. I don't know. Like when I just can't see myself where the way that I view chicks or the way that I view somebody that I'm attracted to as an object. I don't I don't see that as normal. I see that as pathetic and just yeah, childish. I would say there's probably better words out there to describe that, but yeah, that's what I would think, man. For people that are thinking that like it's normal and it's fine to do that, I think you better check yourself in terms of the way that you think or the way that you perceive other people. Because maybe the way that you're perceiving other people is maybe the way that you perceive yourself, that you are the object. So if you're the object, so anybody else is another object. And maybe there's a broken self within you that is trying to fix itself, but the only way that it knows how to fix itself is through objective. Maybe that's one thing. There's probably multiple
yeah. And
cases of
and
that.
I think, like you said, that's going to change the how guys objectify women, but also what it's going to cause that, like what you said, you were feeling with how people are making comparisons. The females watching it
Mm,
and seeing all these guys sort of worshiping a half-naked woman who shows her body off.
yeah,
They're going to be like, I need to
yeah,
be like that. They'll be comparing themselves at a young age,
yeah,
to
Yeah.
these people and think, well, that's what I'm meant to be. That's what
Yeah.
a woman is. That's how you get
Exactly.
accepted. So they'll act like
Right.
that. The guy is trying to compare himself to the other one, and they'll act, and you see the like disharmony it creates. You can see
Mm.
the normally, like, I just look at balance, and for me, balance is if
Mm.
your emotions are stable and your function
Mm.
is good in life. If your emotions are all
Mm.
over the place, I feel there's an
Mm.
imbalance within there that needs to be figured out and observed, because you should be a balanced creature on this earth,
Yeah.
that can live
And
and enjoy it.
I think I don't want to also get into the sense of like, because you can flip it where people would think therefore chicks need to cover themselves. You know what I mean? Like that whole perspective. And I come from a Christian point of view, right? Where, you know, if a chick wears a crop top, right? And you know, and she
Mm.
vibes with that and whatnot, and I'm like, that's cool, that's awesome. But there's a switch where guys think that it's the woman's fault for wearing that and whatnot. And I'm just like, yo, first of all, you should have control over yourself. Facts. Doesn't matter about external environment. You should have control over yourself. Whatever that person's wearing or what that person vibes with, that's not predicated on who and how you perceive her or perceive the environment. Yeah, that's just one thing that I want to point out, because I know that there's an argument where a lot of people will be like, yo, everybody should just cover themselves. I'm like, no, bro, you're missing the problem. It's not that. You're taking the problem
I
and you're
think
putting.
it's both of them things, because
Do
like I
you?
said, when you're a young kid, you're so stimulated by, I
Mm,
think we're naturally stimulated by what we're attracted. Like, not
mm.
everyone's attracted male and female these days, you know, like there's a
Right,
mixture of different
right.
things. But just to
Of
keep it
course.
simpler, like,
Yeah, yeah.
let's say male and female, like I was attracted to the female form, the shape, not
Mm.
just the female as a whole, just that
Yeah, not gonna, yeah,
stimulated.
dude.
And the more of it
The
I could
female
see,
shape
the
is
more,
attractive. I ain't gonna
yeah,
lie.
yeah, for me, that's what's attractive. So when I was younger, I only had to see a bit of a nipple through a bra, but I
Right.
didn't know what there was no one told me, like, oh, the boob is the part
Right.
that's attractive, the bum is the part that's
Mm.
attractive. There was something wired
Mm.
within that's drawn
Of
to that
course.
area, and
Of
then the
course.
whole female body as a whole at such a young
Mm.
age. And I
Mm.
see that most people never mature much past sort of 8 years old anyway, mentally. So
Right. Oh,
how
not
stimulated
so
they would
true.
get on a night out by
Yeah.
seeing so many body
Mm.
parts moving around and jiggling and stuff, like,
Of
and
course.
they, if they got a child's mindset, they're going to be
Mm.
overstimulated and struggling to control themselves.
Mm.
And I feel for the woman, they
Well,
should just be so comfortable in themselves that they
mm.
appreciate that they've got parts that people are going to admire and love, but they don't need
Right.
they need to feel that they feel complete enough that they can just
Yeah.
dress how they want, and
I think that's
know
true.
whether they feel they're showing too much or too little. Just be aware.
I like that. I like that. I think that's true. I think, and I don't want to speak for the females, but I feel like, yeah, I think, I hope the females out there, they don't feel like they have to show boobs to get a male's attention. And that's the part that I get. And that's true, right? Like, maybe it's the culture that we live in that I don't want, and it's sad to see, because it kind of goes both ways, as you said, right? Where chicks, for them to get someone's attention, they have to dress more sexual. Although it does get that attention, it's I don't know, I feel like it's not healthy, because
You
have
always
to
hear the
somewhat.
one where they're like, I don't know why do I always get the wrong guy? I can't find
Yeah, and
the
you're
right
like,
guy. And it's
maybe
like, yeah,
the way that you're personifying yourself is attracting the wrong dude here, you know.
yeah.
No, that's true. That's true. And I see that as well. Like, I think, even from like I do modeling and stuff, right? And you see that, you see the reason why there's so many angles that one takes to sensualize himself to find more attractive. And I think there was a time where I started researching on seduction, because I was like, yo, I do not want to get seduced by a chick based on the way that she talks to me or dresses and whatnot, because I want to know the mechanism of seduction, you know. And I started reading on that. And it wasn't so I could start seducing people. It was more of a protective mechanism. I'm like, yo, this world is very seductive.
Yeah.
And it comes in so many ways. So, no, you are true. I think it sucks that I would just hate for any of my sisters to feel like they would have to dress a certain way to get a guy's attention. I think smile, your personality should be that. And yes, if you're attractive, that's amazing, but you don't have to feel like you have to show a lot to get. You just need to show how comfortable you are and whatnot. And if you like wearing crop tops, awesome. If you don't have to feel like you have to get molded into this weird cycle of sexuality and obsessiveness of just objectification of oneself. to get someone's attention.
Yeah, and I
And
think
that's really
like
sad.
sexuality and sex in general, to me, sex is like an exchange. Like my partner said to me, it's
Mm,
like sexual energy exchange. Is like what
mm,
sex means. It's like you
mm.
have sex for an very intimate expression, connection,
Of
and a
course,
bond.
of
You know,
course.
and it's really powerful. And the most, if someone is sexually abused or sexually harmed, we see it as such a
Mm.
bad. It hurts. We really, even me saying it to you now, you probably feel something inside, just being like, oh, we're
Yeah,
going there.
dude. No,
Do you know what I mean?
I've
It's
no, no. I've
yeah,
heard stories, man, where I
that
literally
shows the
just want to punch
power.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that shows the power of the sexual energy is the fact that we can be so upset when it's used wrongly. It's like a gun.
of
You know,
course,
when it's used wrong, we're
of course.
so upset. It's so powerful. And now we've been brought
Mm.
up in such a sexuality's been so like pushed in every direction. Like I said, what I
Yeah,
saw
because
when I was a child is
mm,
minor. I can see
mm.
billboards now. I can drive down the road and see
Oh,
someone's
dude.
ass and tits. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
dude.
everywhere.
It's
Um,
everywhere. And I think the reality is it's always going to be everywhere. Now it's like, okay, how do we teach people? How do we start making people more aware of this, such that they can have more control over themselves, be the master of their own ship or the
yeah, I'll
captain of
give
their
you
own
my
ship per se.
yeah, I'll give you my stages of how I sort of got off it. For me, it was to
Yeah,
like
go.
first, like when I was younger, I was like, all right, I'm going to continue to watch something. This is when I was a lot younger. I was like, I'm going to continue to watch porn because it's I like it, but I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
masturbate. Yeah, so I'm going to see if I
Right.
can just watch it and not masturbate for a while. Yeah,
How was that?
and just see. It's tempting and boring. You know, it's not the same. It's not like watching. It's not like watching a film. And
Yeah,
yeah, so, but then you end up masturbating at some point. Like you can't keep doing that. It's too
of course.
stimulating. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was just seeing, I was trying to work it out for myself. And then I was like, okay, all right, now I'm allowed to masturbate, but no porn. Then I just didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
masturbate to nothing. To me, I've noticed with girls, they've got like an imagination where for, they don't need, they're like, oh, porn's
Bro.
disgusting, but they can close their
Yeah.
eyes and imagine and use an imagination in a sense
I
different to
don't
we
know
can, it
I don't
seems.
know how people do that. I don't know how
Uh,
people do that. I'm just like, yeah, that's just
yeah, so I
very
needed the
strange
visual
to us.
stimulation. So without that, it was like, okay, I don't want to do it. So then I'm like, okay, so the cause and effect is that's making me want to do it. Then I would try not to
Mm,
do it, but then I'd be stimulated by people I saw, things I see, just things that are about,
mm,
and I'd be like, oh man. And like at one point, I was in a long-term relationship with a girl I was in love with. Yeah, we had lots of
mm,
sex, but I was still
mm.
masturbating a lot. Do you know what I mean? It's like I
Wow.
weren't running out. So it's just like,
Yeah.
but I just like, why am I still doing it? I know she's going to be really hurt if she knows that I'm doing it. She's not going to like
Yeah.
it.
And let's just stop there
Um,
because a lot of people think that they'll get in a relationship and then they'll stop. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like a lot of people think that they'll go, oh yeah, look, it's just a thing that I do, just to get a release.
and
And you're like, my brother, and you think it's
yeah,
gonna stop once you
we
get a
could be have
girlfriend.
it like we was young, you know, we was together from 15 to 25. Uh,
Yeah.
and we at points we could be doing it multiple times a day, and I would still
Mm.
manage to find a place to get in and masturbate within then. And I'm like getting all this,
Wow.
like, do you know what I mean? Getting all you want,
Yeah. Yeah. Of
and there was
course.
still space. And I was like, but that was bugging me because I was like, why is this even happening? Like I said, I think the conditioning from a young age and the release
Mm.
of but more for me, it was more like I said, there's so much stimulation going on visually
Yeah.
everywhere. And like I
Of
said, I
course.
used to listen to a lot of hip hop and stuff. You turn on the music channel and like you can't
Yeah.
not see
Dude.
stuff.
MTV, bruh.
Yeah,
R&B.
yeah. And
Yeah,
it's
I hear
like, oh
you.
man, this is too much. But then when I got older, like I said,
Mm.
I just didn't like being so dependent on any substance. And I saw
Mm-hmm.
masturbation as like that and pornography was all a substance I'm dependent on. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
balance myself with. I didn't want to do it with my new partner. I didn't want her to have to, I didn't want to keep going through a new relationship and doing the same stuff and being like, oh,
Yeah.
this like you're sneaking around, you know, you just want to be honest
Uh,
and you also want to enjoy that
that's
time
it.
with them.
And that's the
Um,
beauty. People don't understand. Like when I've been in a relationship where I haven't, like I was in a relationship where I didn't like, masturbate or watch porn in it for a year, and then things happen and whatnot. But people don't understand how like freeing that is when you are literally all that you like not need, but like how honest you are with your partner and how I don't know, there's something different when you know that you're like there's just this interesting trust that's just so real and so authentic, and it's so you don't feel yucky when you say like it's just so it's undescribable.
there's
I
a
don't know, it's
purity, it
something.
seems like it's a pure feeling.
Yeah, there's a
There's
pure feeling of it.
and there's
Yeah.
like you can just talk about it, but and then be honest about where you are with it, and yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a really interesting process. But the second part that motivates me is I got into more thinking about like the actual waste of sperm, because I was like, right,
Oh,
a couple of things
yeah.
on that. Like I was like, well, you're losing a lot. That has to be replenished from somewhere. So,
Mm.
and the way I see it is, I think that the species, one of the main things we wanna do is be able to reproduce. Yeah, it's like a
Of
core
course.
instinct within us is to reproduce. So I think that the body would prioritize keeping your sperm always topped up and sacrifice other elements of yourself. So if you're not getting in the right amount of nutrition to build good quality sperm, it
Mm.
will take it and prioritize that from taking parts from the body, or things will get malnutritious in your system before
Mm.
your sperm gets of bad quality, so it will try to keep that
Wow.
pure. um
Yeah.
so if you're not eating perfect, and there's things in, like, an interesting thing in sperm, like there's like it's abundance of like zinc and things that we
Mm.
don't eat in abundance of. And like I
Mm.
noticed, like I had chronic fatigue for a long time and stuff, and I know, and depression and other things. And I noticed, like, wait a minute, if you can look up these same things that are in sperm, and when you become malnutritious in them, you start to develop
Mm.
these symptoms of fatigue, of depression, of anxiety,
That makes
because
sense. I'm not
because you're
that
actually
makes sense because
depleting.
yeah.
And
Mm.
the other big part for me that really, this is what fuels me to not do it, is I see life as that what I am is the life force that's running through me, that my body is
Mm.
mine, my thoughts are mine, but they're not me. I don't identify with my body, I don't identify with my mind. They're just
Interesting.
mine. But I'm the
Mm.
life force. So
Mm-hmm.
when there's a dead body, yeah, we're looking to
Mm.
see a dead body, we don't see the person. We go, they're
Mm.
gone, but the body's there.
Mm.
So something's gone.
Right,
Whatever
of
we
course.
appreciated, the real thing we loved has gone. If you had a loved one who died and they said you can keep the body and it'll stay in immaculate condition and you can take it with you anywhere you want, you'd be like,
Don't know
that's
that.
torture. That's gonna
Mm.
be horrid. So what we
Mm.
admire and love is the force within. And then I was
Mm.
like, okay, sperm is the only part of us that when it leaves us, it has a part of life force in it because it creates life. So I was like, every time you
Mm.
lose some, you actually spill in your life force. So I was like, okay,
Interesting. Yeah.
and if you want to
Okay.
keep your life
Yeah.
force and stay strong, stay fertile, stay active, productive, you want to build life force. So like even my diet, I try and eat as much food that contains a life force, like vegetables and things that are growing and fresh,
Yeah.
and eat them raw
Yeah.
when they're still full of life. They're not moldy and they're
That's
not dead.
true.
And I'm like, I'm eating
I
that for
feel,
energy. And I eat a lot. I don't eat a lot of food at all,
mm.
but I eat
Mm.
food like that and that keeps me going.
I feel like there is a weird there is a something powerful when you from a nutrition point of view, and I've been looking into that because one, I want to gain weight to, and you know about this, I want to gain weight to 90 kgs and lift more and whatnot. But there is something so for me, like I literally get vegetables and I cook it straight away. Like I don't put them in the fridge. Like literally, I think I just bought some like capsicum and some was it spring onions and egg. Like just everything is so fresh. And even like the way that my parents live, it's all grown from the back of our yard. So a lot of food that my parents eat, it's all grown, and it's for some reason it's so fresh and it's so lively. You can definitely see the reason why my parents are so happy. One, they have amazing kids, right? Like me.
Yeah.
No, but that they live, the diet that they take in, and there's that life source thing that you were saying. Yeah, that might definitely be one of the facts as well.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah.
like you said, and it's just like they've not been brought up with so much influence from so many directions, and like even the food now, you can go
Mm.
buy a loaf of bread from the shops, and it's got like 25 ingredients these days, whereas like your parents would have grown up on bread that has five
Oh,
ingredients.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
goes off
very
within a
like
day.
from the yeah no literally everything. I think there's a place called the bread pound near my place right now, and every time I pass that, it literally reminds me of Zimbabwe, because I think where we used to live was we lived close to a bakery, and every morning I would wake up to a bakery, like just like that fresh bread, and every time I
Mm.
pass that, I mean, it just gives me that same freshness. But when you go to stuff like, I don't know if you guys have like an Aldi or Woolworth or whatever your grocery is, right?
Yeah,
You look at the bread and you're just like, this is they look depressed.
yeah, yeah, and it's like it lasts for weeks, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's no, and you look at it, like for me, I always, because I studied nutrition and personal training when I was younger, and
Mm.
I was really into my nutrition, so I used to always calorie count, like look at my macro and micros, and really observant on my food, but obsessive. Like I weighed every gram of rice
Of course.
perfectly, every chicken breast, everything, and timed my meals to the minute. Like, and I was really obsessive, but with my nutrition.
Wow.
But I wasn't looking so much at what things are in, because I would just not eat bread. Bread wasn't part of my diet plan. It's like, oh, you
Yeah.
don't eat bread, bread's bad. Occasionally you
Yeah.
have like a wholemeal slice as a sort of treat. Um,
Yeah.
but I just looked at the carbs versus and the proteins, and I was like, oh, the protein's not complete in bread, so I won't count that. But how many carbs is in it? Oh, okay, 15 carbs per slice. Oh, that's 30 carbs for 2 slices. And I would count every number, but I didn't look at the ingredients. Whereas
Yeah.
now,
Or the process as well. Like I think
yeah, the
ingredient
process,
and the way that it's
yeah.
being made. You know?
So now I look at the ingredients and I'm like, if I can't pronounce a word on the back, if I don't understand a word, I definitely won't eat it. Whatever it is, if I look at it and there's some long word, I'm just like, okay, I don't know what that is. If I can't tell what it is, I'll just avoid it.
That's amazing. Like
And then
Andrew Newfoundland.
yeah, if there's just anything, and someone could go, oh, that's really good for you. And I said, yeah, maybe it is, but
Like
it's just easier if I just ignore them things. It makes my
facts.
life simple. I can't be bothered to go on Google to
Yeah.
find out exactly what that is and
Google
read
be
all
like,
the
yeah,
studies. I'm like, if the word doesn't make any sense to me right now, just leave it
of
alone. Do
course.
you know what I mean? I know
Yeah.
what a cabbage is called. I don't have to look at a label at a cabbage. You know, it's just
I
cabbage
know.
and that's it.
Yeah. I know what a flower is.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I'll eat
That's
like that.
true.
And the only thing I really
That's
avoid now is anything that
hmm.
has any form of preservative in it. I don't touch it
Yeah.
at all. Because the big part of
So
my development, I didn't realize about the gut bacteria and understanding the
yeah.
process of that environment. So to me, I see and your body is riddled in bacteria. The skin, the gut,
Mm.
everything is covered.
Mhm.
So to me, I look at it
Mhm.
like it's its own climate, it's its own earth, and
Mhm.
you're the god in control of the way you treat these bacteria because you dictate whether you're going to genocide a whole population with antibiotics, you know, or
Yo.
whether you put alcohol on your skin and you're going to cause all this chaos.
Yeah.
So you've got to
That's
keep balance
true.
and harmony between all these different tribes of bacteria, and they
Yeah.
all have such different placement. And it's like a little one, like
I
lots of
think.
people get vitamin B. Just finish this one bit and then I really want to hear what you say. But yeah, a lot of people get
Mm.
vitamin B deficient. Yeah, but there's a certain point in your gut near it was called your ileocecal valve, which is down the very bottom right near the appendix, where only one
Right.
type of certain bacteria lives. And that bacteria's process, as it eats, it poops, and its poop is vitamin B12. There's lots of bacteria where their excrement is the nutrient that we need and thrive off, and it comes from them. And things like depression and things, these things produce serotonin, dopamine within your gut and trigger the response for your body to produce it, but all within the bacteria process. So for me, it's like the bacteria is so important to take care of.
Now I feel like that's so true, and people don't think about that, and they're not so aware of how. And I know it's very cliche, like, oh, you are what you consume, but you really are, like, in the sense of like you're changing your whole ecosystem in what you're putting, right? Like people get angry at me. They don't get angry at me. They just find me weird when I tell them that I've never gotten drunk before, and I'm cool with people getting drunk. Like if that's what you do, that's cool. Like I haven't. Who am I to say what you do with your body? But like people just look at me like I am somewhat of a weird guy.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
I
yo,
did it.
I have drunk. I have, I drink wine on occasion sometimes, but I've stopped now. I think this year and like end of last year. But like I would never, I would say, ever gotten plastered and stuff because I just know that what I'm putting in is poison. you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
I drunk when I was like 14 years old. It's the first time I had
holy
alcohol,
smokes!
um, but the time I was like 18, I was like, I'm never gonna drink again because to
What
me, I
stopped
would
it?
witness,
Yeah,
huh? So
yeah.
what
What
stopped
was
it
the
for
call?
me
Yeah, mm,
is I wasn't a heavy drinker. I literally I got drunk once with friends when I was a
yeah,
kid. And I was
yeah.
around other kids that would drink all the time. I actually had a fake ID at 14 and I was buying and selling alcohol and fireworks for other kids. I realized like, oh, if I can buy them every Friday night, I looked a little older
Capitalism.
than the other kid. I can make a little bit of
Yeah,
money buying fireworks, make a little bit of money
that's
buying alcohol.
that's
And
good. Good business.
yeah, and
Entrepreneur.
that yeah, that was just on the Friday nights when I was really young. And
Yeah.
but then one night I had some drinks with my friends and I got drunk and yeah, it was like I don't
Mm.
remember a lot of it. I was sick, I laughed, but I
Wow.
I was obsessed with self-control. So
Mm.
I really didn't like that my conscious state was altered and I wasn't in
Yeah.
full control.
Facts.
So I was like, you know what? I can't touch this stuff. I can't touch anything that's going to alter my
Facts.
conscious state. And like this was driven from my
Facts.
mum had mental illness and a complete lack of
Yeah.
conscious control. So I was
Facts.
like, that's important. That's important.
Yeah.
So I
People
would like,
don't realize about. Yeah. Go. 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 Keep
yeah.
going.
So yeah,
Sorry.
I wouldn't touch alcohol or touch any drugs or anything like that. But I did get to a point in my life where I was like, you know what? I've been a bit too militant. I've been a little bit. I've had so much control on myself that
Mm.
that's a control within a control, and I had to break that control and loosen up
Yeah.
to let myself
Mm.
realize that's gaining more control. To be looser is more control. To be flexible is more control.
Of course.
But that didn't mean I didn't go and start drinking. I didn't go and start taking drugs. But I didn't
Mm.
judge anyone else by their behavior, and I didn't judge myself for doing or not doing. I was just like, no, this is what I
That's
want. This is where I am. But like a looseness
that's
had to
true.
happen within me. I'd become quite rigid.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like, I know that I am an intense person. Like, I'm very friendly. I'm one of the most friendly people you've ever been. Like, I will be kind and honest to you and whatnot. But there's a switch where something happens where I could just be a tyrant to myself. This is to myself. To anybody else, I do not care. I'm like, yo, unless you're my brother or one of my siblings, I'll be like, yo, this is not how we do things and whatnot. But I will still give you a little bit more grace. But to myself, I could be a massive tyrant, and we can talk about that and how that has caused me more problems than good. Um, where I have to give myself a little bit more grace, where I'm like, look, you actually being super, super disciplined, although that's awesome and that's great, and discipline is good, but that could flip into where you are beating yourself up on a regular basis and where yourself doesn't really care anymore, where it's like, stuff it, I will never be good enough for my own standards. So why I keep following these rules that I've put on myself? So not even rules, is these deadlines or structures, and then where I can just lose the plot and flip all the way to the opposite and then lose control because of me trying to find rigid and controlness and just, you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing
Mm.
we don't understand, where you really have to find, like, as you said, that balance of like, I am in control, but it doesn't mean that I am super crazy and obsessive. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I can definitely
it's
relate to that
crazy.
because you say tyrant. I realized like I called it that my inner like mind was like a
Mm.
dictator, and it
Yeah,
just had
yeah.
these strictness and these rules and this
Mm.
self-abusive mentality that
Yeah,
I wasn't aware that I was in that
yeah.
cycle. And it was like nothing I ever did was good enough or worth,
Mm-hmm.
like I could have always
Mm-hmm.
done better. And I saw that as motivation. I thought I'm challenging myself. I thought I'm challenging myself
Yeah,
to be better. But then I
yeah.
realized anyone was to talk, if I was to go into a room and talk to, like I done personal training, if I talk to
Mm.
my clients how I was talking to myself to motivate myself, I wouldn't
Yeah.
have any, I wouldn't get results out of my clients. You know, they'd start to be scared to
Mm.
turn up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'd be like, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, that was a good session. Yeah, you really pushed me, but yeah, this guy's a
Mm-hmm.
jerk. This
Yeah,
this guy,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
got
No.
he's pushing me too hard. You know, he's not being nice. Where's the kindness? Where's
Mm.
the loving
Mm.
motivation?" And that's what I had to go through a
Exactly.
process of realizing I wasn't doing that, and then I had to
Yeah.
rewire that and go through a
And that's
process
where
of
I'm at
completely
right now.
changing.
You were saying about where I am with, the pornography and all that stuff. I'm like, that's where I am, because I've been such a tyrant, and it's something that I'm working with my psychologist and whatnot. I've been such a tyrant to myself, and although that has helped I was talking about, this is actually, I think that's like, although me being super intense at a young age to deal with all this chaos when I was young and whatnot, it has helped me back then. But now, when I'm trying to figure out who I am and sort out my issues and stuff, it doesn't give me grace to find myself. It goes, you should know yourself now. You should know
Hmm.
this now. You should be here now. But now I'm training myself to be like, give yourself grace, give yourself time, be patient with yourself. I know you're ambitious and I know that you want to get things done, but sometimes things takes time, and you need to be okay with that. And that's why it's a podcast. We're talking about transformation. I don't know if you guys want to listen to that. We're talking about transformation. We're talking about obsessiveness, because it is that I see this in a lot of people. I see this in a lot of ambitious and super passionate about life. They want to get the most out of it. but they could be super, super intense because of this whole culture of grind. I have no problem with people talking about the grind culture, the grind mentality about working your butt off. That's awesome. Please do keep working your butt off and be thankful, but please don't have expectation for the results, because when you do, and when you push and your perspective is, I want to get that result, and you forget the process and the journey, if that result doesn't get there, your whole, archetype will get destroyed. The way that you perceive yourself will be destroyed. And that's what happened to me, man. Like about 2.5 years ago, man, I was in a relationship and I thought like this was it. And I hurt the person that was there. And my whole thing was like, you should have been better. You should have been this. You should have, back to back to back of just me torturing myself so much that I couldn't be able to sleep at home. So I was like, studying. I was at uni. But I was sleeping in my car because I was kind of, and I know looking back, I know what it is now. I was really punishing myself, right, for hurting somebody. And it is that thing where you're like, holy snap, man, you need to give yourself grace. You can fail. You can stuff up, and you think that it's the end of the world, but it's not. Heal, and that's where I'm at right now with a lot of things. And it's a really good place for anybody that's there. It's a really good place for anybody that feel like they've been really hard on themselves. And I just want to let you all know, whoever's listening, have grace to yourself, be kind, take yourself back and just be like, you know what, it's okay. I stuffed up. Yes, I might have hurt somebody, or man, I failed that test, Yes, I'm a straight A student. Damn, I got a C. Who cares? Pull yourself back and be like, yo, you know what? It's fine to fail and it's okay to fail, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay there. It's a process. Enjoy that process and see, and whatever the result happens, it happens, but enjoy the process. So, man, that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at in terms of life, in terms of my perspective, in the way that I do things, man. And it's so freeing. I'm not going to lie to you. It's so freeing when you could give yourself a little bit more grace, because you haven't given yourself grace in the last 3 years. And you look back in the mirror, you're like, holy snap. How did I go through life in 3 years of just abusing myself? Because people think that abusing is just like, I've been hit, I'm hitting myself, or like, I'm cutting myself, and that's an abuse as well. But man, people don't talk about that emotional abuse that people have on themselves enough.
Well, yeah, and it's really interesting because you could say have a child, and let's say the parent hits the child a little bit too hard just once, and then they come round and they're okay, and the kid's a little disturbed, but they might not be completely traumatized. Yeah, if every day for a week they told them they're no good and not worth it, and they didn't hit them, but they spoke to them badly, you would see how much impact psychologically that still has it in their mind, and they will carry for like their life. Yeah, it's like they'll have to reprogram themselves to try and break that pattern. And like words can be, thoughts and words are so powerful. So what we say to ourselves and what's floating in our mind, if we're not aware of the cycles that are going, that's like where I tell people, like, just get yourself into a relaxed state, sit, have a bath, whatever it is, just lay down and just take a few deep breaths and try and witness the thoughts like a separate person and enter in the room. And would you kick that person out of the room or not? Are you happy that they've just come in or not? And trying to just come to that realization. It's like, is the voice that's coming in got a loving tone? Is it saying it with kindness? Is it constructive? Is it supportive? Or is it actually like, someone you wish wasn't in your life and you need to get rid of?
And the funniest thing, if people don't know how to identify that sometimes, it's very hard to, because if you're coming from a very ambitious person and you're grinding, it takes time to start identifying that. To be like, am I actually abusing myself? Am I actually pushing myself out of love? Yeah. And sometimes it's very hard to find that. And I think the best way that I've been finding is just looking yourself in the mirror, literally being like, hey, just take yourself, as you said, you pull yourself back and be like, yo, what's motivating me right now? Am I doing this out of love? Am I doing this so I can improve? Or am I doing this out of just abusement? And it's hard. It is hard, like because people are not aware of that sometimes, right? Because and I'm curious to see what you think about this whole grind culture, this whole, and that really obsessive of work, no rest. um,
Yeah. Well,
mentality.
I think it's two things because like I used to be like that when I was younger because I came from a poor background. I had lots of issues
Mm,
and I wanted to get out of that situation. And the only way I could see out
mm,
is more money because I was like, well, if you have more money,
mm,
you can take care of
mm,
things, you can sort things out. So I was like, right, I need to work as hard as I can, as many hours as I can, whatever it is. Yeah, do as many side hustles as I can, work on like developing
mm,
my business skills and research in every
mm,
moment possible. So I spent like, well, and I was doing all sorts of odd jobs when I was like a teenager, ways to make money buying and
mm,
selling clothes and doing all different
mm,
things. Um, and I never got into like drug dealing or any crime type stuff like that because I always thought like
mm,
that's not. I thought that's like the easy way. I was like, yeah, that's easy
mm.
to go buy and sell drugs. I want to make a business a career and something
Yeah.
that I can actually do long term. So I was like interested in trying to make money to buy businesses. Like I was like, oh, I could
Mm,
have a hair salon and employ people to work in there. I could have a little restaurant. And I was
mm,
always having these ideas of how many businesses can you have? And then I was like, oh,
mm.
if I can make enough them from them, I'll flip them and I'll be able to get a mortgage out on an apartment building. I was like, then you have like several apartments running, you got the rent and the upkeep,
Of
and I get
course.
a good manager to cut. And I was going through all these like business things to just keep trying to multiply and multiply and following
Mm,
examples of like great people that have put their knowledge and life out there on how they've built structures and stuff of life and money that now like people are
of
watching
course.
obsessively all this stuff. But I didn't, my problem is I never got all the things I was aiming for because life kept coming and hitting me in the face and like causing me
Wow.
chaos that stopped me being able to actually fulfill that thing. So like for me,
Mm,
like I said, I'll
mm.
go briefly, but like my mum would commit suicide or something, and that would pull me out of like exactly what I'm doing right at
Wow.
that moment, and I'll be taking her to the
Wow.
hospital. And then I'm recovering from
Wow.
that, caring for her, and then like, oh man, I
Yeah.
need to work. So I'll be like trying to look for as many sort of self-employed ways of working as
Mm,
possible and going through that and then like just driving and then like getting sicker and sicker and depressed and chronic fatigue and I got married when I was young and that broke into a divorce and like destroyed me and like it was like
whoa.
constant battles and I thought I would have by the time I'm 30 I wanted to have a couple of
Yeah.
businesses on the go and I wanted to already have
Yeah.
3 kids. Yeah, and
Of
like I'm
course.
now 35, I have 0 kids and I don't have any of these businesses. Yeah, so for me it
Yeah.
was like during
Yeah.
my 30s was a real time of
How did
contemplation of
you?
like
Yeah.
yeah.
How did you overcome that contemplation? Because I know that I would have been like, given that, I guess, yeah, I feel like we are both the same position and drive.
Yeah.
How did you
Well,
overcome that contemplation
there was
and,
a couple things like it was realizing again, and you sort of touched on it earlier. It's like, right, I need to lose my expectations. It's the expectations in life that are slowing me down and causing me
mm,
friction. And them expectations are only set if conditions exist. So I was like, and if condition exists, judgment exists. And judgment is
mm,
going to be that dictator turning up again at the door and he's judging my every move and my everything. Even if I know and my intention's pure, that's all I need to know
mm,
and I don't need judgment on
mm,
that. And then that turned into not judging other people, not judging life, and it all rolled
mm,
into one. Like there's no conditions, there's no expectations, there's no judgment. There's love and there's ambition and a full heart to
mm,
express that. So now it's like I'm full of ambition and drive to do things. But if they don't create, if they don't happen, that's not my concern, but that's not going to stop me trying. But my concern isn't
mm,
at all in whether it actually manifests in any way. I will aim for it
mm,
and go that direction and just for me just balance whether if anything starts to change my relationships that are important to me or my
mm,
balance in my mind, like I'm not being
mm,
loving, I'm not being compassionate, or I will just be taking awareness of that and going, okay, well, I can't go that direction because that's causing this issue and that's not worth it for me because this is my like structure, this is what's important to me, my mind and my function, my love and my compassion is important to me, so I won't
yeah,
sacrifice that. Like there's certain non-negotiables, I would call them, things in my life that are just non-negotiable. So then I can be
of
happy
course.
with the outcome, enjoy the
Yeah.
outcome. And if I don't get it, it's a bit like I tell people, like COVID happening. No one expected it to happen or predicted or really wanted it. Like there was theories out there that stuff could happen, like, but you
Mm,
don't really. You had no physical control yourself, whether it did or didn't happen. And life's like that in general.
exactly.
You don't really have a control on what happens, but you do have
Exactly.
an internal control on how you feel inside.
Mm,
And it's like, so managing that for me and turning it from a manager to a CEO. I'm the CEO of my life. I used to be the
hell
manager,
yeah.
and it's
Hell
just
yeah.
working through that. And a bit like what you
Mm,
said earlier on failures, like I said, I would have looked at before my life as failure after failure after failure because I didn't get what I
mm,
wanted. Now I look at it and go,
yeah.
I didn't get what I wanted. but I got exactly what I needed. Yeah, I just didn't
Ooh,
realize it, because I was too
yo,
arrogant.
I am there, bro.
Yeah,
Man, like I know that like all the looking back on all the failures that I've made, and whether that's in academia or relationship or whatever failures that I've made, looking back at it, I'm just like, it's not what I wanted, but it's what I needed because it's making
yeah,
me one. It's changing the way that I look at myself, and it's changing the way that I look at other people, and it's making me a better person, more relatable person. Like I mean, like the younger Franklin would have despised the older Franklin, like because it's like, what do you mean you failed? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
mm,
like, what do you mean what happened to you? You know, and it's sad to say, but the younger Franklin was just trying to find, speaking of myself in third person, but the younger me was trying to find, I think, acceptance, but not really acceptance in other people, just acceptance in myself, that I was enough, that that I am all that I need per se, you know. And it's
yeah,
hard for people to get there. It's really hard because you have all social media telling you this is what you should look like, this is what you should be like. Oh, you're, for me, given that I'm black. Oh, right, you're you don't look like a gangster. Oh, you're actually a gentleman. Oh, therefore you're a simp. Or therefore you actually appreciate females not from an objective point of view. Oh, therefore you must be, this. Or therefore you're not a real man because you haven't slept with like gazillions of chicks, right? All of these things where I think the younger Franklin was just simply, or the younger me was simply saying, hey, I just want to know that I'm enough.
yeah,
And I didn't get there. And the only way that got me there was through either pornography or masturbation or codependency. Where now looking back, I'm like, man, I am enough. I know that I'm not where I want to be right now, but right now I am enough to where I am, to develop, to progress, to find love, to look for romance, to create all the things that I want to create, but not out of the expectation of that I must create them, but out of the sense of like, I am enough to create them, and if it doesn't work, it is what it is. It just doesn't work, and you move on, right?
yeah,
C'est la vie, right? C'est la vie. Like
yeah,
my dad keeps
definitely.
saying that. Yeah,
And I think
no,
like
it's crazy.
another word that I sort of comes up in my mind is like I say, it's changing the words are like healing and
Mm,
self-improvement, because these to me these reaffirm to yourself that you're not good enough now, a bit like you said, you're not where you want to be now, but you know you want to go somewhere. It's like to affirm to yourself you're perfect now, you're great now, you're good now, because now is the only time that exists. So you affirm to
exactly.
yourself you're great now and you're on a path of growth and expansion. You don't need to heal, you're
Mm,
good enough, you're not broken that needs fixing, because then
mm,
you're setting the expectation that one day you will be healed, one day you'll be
mm.
fixed, and you'll be disappointed again if you
Interesting.
because you can always grow and expand. You're always going to be let down if
Mm.
you think there's an absolute fix, an absolute heal.
So
So I think
therefore, people,
reaffirming to
do you
yourself, do you know
think?
what, I'm good enough now, I'm
Yeah.
great, but I'm growing, I'm expanding,
Mm.
and just
So
reaffirming
true,
that sort
bro.
of attitude. And the
So
other one
true. So
for me that
true.
was important was rewiring mistakes, because like you said, how do you deal with what could be looked at as failures or mistakes all your life? And some people can be in a terrible position mentally, hear this and be like, yeah, but I've had loads of failures, loads of mistakes, and I feel terrible now, so I'm not happy that
Mm.
that's what happened in my life. I can't see that I needed it,
Mm.
because this is why I'm
Mm.
suffering, because it still happened. And for me, that's like the power of the difference of the human species is our imagination. And when we sit alone and we have the opportunity to rewire any event in our time history that we want to, in terms of what we gain or didn't gain from it. So to me, a
Mm-hmm.
mistake is only a mistake until the point that you have taken the opportunity from that event. So it's a mistake if you've mistaken the opportunity. So something happened in your life 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
That's
Yeah, it's a
good. That's good.
mistake. But the moment you take that
Mm.
opportunity that was given to you and you start
Mm.
to use it in your current life, that mistake is
Mm.
undone. It's unwired, and it neurologically is as well. Like you start to put a use case to an event that
Mm.
was a failure or mistake, that you've learned that lesson, but
Mm.
you've actually using it. And if you can use that in service
Mm.
for others, yet that
Mm.
rewiring happens fast. And that's from
Yeah.
my
No, it's
experience. Like that
true.
rewiring suddenly just flips, and your levels of emotions, joy, balance, happy to wake up, happy to go
Mm.
sleep. You know, these sort of things
Yeah.
change. Something
And
chaotic happens, you're still okay. You're
be
still
comfortable.
balanced.
I think it's like even that, being comfortable within yourself as well. And I think a lot of people are not comfortable in themselves, and it's sad, but they're not, right? They because they felt that that they are failures. Therefore, it's just like this weird perpetual thing of like, nah, damn it, I did it again. You know, like all this stuff, right? Where yeah, it just when you have that mind shift change, man, and I hear what you're saying. When you have that mind shift change, man, it's so peaceful. It's so
Yeah.
peaceful. Oh man, it's so peaceful.
Hey man, I don't want to be
Yeah.
cutting you off because I really enjoy chatting with you, but we're getting to the end of the show. I like to try and keep them to like an
Good.
hour in length. Um, we have to get you back in the
Yeah.
future and just catch up and see how you're
Bro,
doing with where you're at and what
my
you're up
guy.
to. But
This is continue.
I was just going to say, I have a few short questions to finish up on. But do you have any
Go.
places where people can follow you and get in contact if they need, or any social media, anything
Yeah.
you want to share?
Franklin spelled like Franklin the Turtle, so Franklin. Last name Mudole. You can find me on Instagram. But also I am one of the co-hosts of a podcast called the Net to Work podcast. NE2 work podcast. You can find that on my Instagram page as well. But that's pretty much me, man. I am passionate about life, passionate about learning, curious person. So hey, if you love this conversation and you want to chat some more, hit me up on the gram. I want to know what you guys think of it. I want to know what you've experienced and whatnot, and maybe we could continue the conversation.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, I hope some people tune in. And like you said, I think especially if people are looking to, if they're aware and they don't want to break the habits of like, if they're even curious about like breaking that pornography and breaking that masturbation, I think
Oh,
having a circle of influencers that are on that path
of
is
course,
very helpful. It's like
of
the
course,
alcoholics that get together, you know, and they have that bit of pressure,
of
like
course.
loving pressure of other people supporting
Yeah,
them. Sometimes it's
of
an
course.
isolating and a sort of taboo subject. So if you can find people that will
Yeah,
actually talk about it and encourage you, and you
dude.
have a like it's the same to me. It's an addiction, you know. So if you have a
Yeah, dude.
relapse,
Facts.
you tell the person, you go, man, I just fell off the wagon yesterday, and I did it.
Yeah.
And then you go, so what caused it? And you can get to the bottom of these things quicker. So Franklin, that offer's there for you too. If you ever need to shout out a message, you can message me if you're having a good day or having a bad day with it, you know, and you just
Yeah.
want some shout out because it is
I'm
a
definitely.
it is a path,
Definitely.
but a path worth traveling.
Yeah. It's a journey. It's a journey. But yeah,
And
I
that's
love this. I totally love this, man. You should read the questions.
yeah, they're just nice, quick questions. If you had to choose one, a cat or a dog?
Yeah. I'm a dog person, bro. Not gonna lie. Cats, I don't
Yeah.
know. They have attitude.
Yeah, it's funny. The people that are cat people, they'll be like, I don't know, cat dogs just have like problems. It seems that people, either a cat or dog person, no one, they always one, it seems. What's your favorite color?
Yeah. My favorite color is purple and yellow. I got two
Oh
favorite
man,
colors.
another
Yeah.
purple. You know, purple's my favorite, yeah, and purple has been
Really?
hands
Damn.
down the number one
Hands
favorite
down.
color on my
Just
podcast.
so.
Yeah,
It's just
I
so
don't meet
nice,
anyone that likes purple. Do you know what I mean? But on my podcast, everyone's
bro.
purple. So it shows something maybe.
Really?
Yeah,
Let's go.
so many
Purple's our color,
purple lovers out
fam.
there.
Let's go.
Yes.
I need to get a purple suit.
Yeah. uh, what excites you? What gets you like spiritually, creative, emotionally, like in the simplest form? What
Spiritually
excites you
creative?
in life?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, what excites me is that the stuff that I'm doing is helping somebody. I mean, like, even the smallest thing, if I have a conversation with somebody and I've made them be better or made them think or feel better, that just gets me turned like to another level, really. So
Oh,
that's what
nice.
excites me. I have a servant heart, man. So that's what
Nice.
excites me.
And what does the opposite? What turns you off?
The thing that turns me off is, I would say, it's always been my pet peeve. People taking things for granted. Yes, even at a young age. That it just, it triggers me hard. Like I want to slap
Okay.
people that take things for granted. I just want to get up to like just give him a nice slap in the face.
Nice. What sound or
Yeah,
noise
man.
do you love?
Ooh, ooh. This is a tough one, bro. I like either the rain. Yeah, the rain would be one of it. The rain would like a really nice
Mm.
thunderstorm. Um, like I'm looking at my window right now. A thunderstorm comes out and like that nice just that like that's just so peaceful. I
Yeah,
find that really
I
majestic.
like it. Yeah.
That's a really
Yeah, I love the
yeah.
sound of the rain
That's
on the
me.
roof, especially when you can hear it. Like,
Yeah.
I fall asleep to
Oh,
it.
it's just so something about that. It's just like gets you to realize that wow, we live in a beautiful world.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, ooh, the sound of sand.
Sand.
You know, crunching sand. You know, when you have sand in your hands and you grind it.
Mm,
Yeah, ooh,
that gets you.
for some reason it gets me, man. I'm like, oh, like I surf as well, which is a weird thing. Walking on sand is fine, but when you have sand and you rub it on your hands, or it's just that weird, creepy, itchiness
Okay,
of sand, it's just like, oh.
interesting.
If anybody want to
I,
torture me,
yeah, just put sand in
that's
your
the
hands and
kind of
make you
stuff.
rub it together.
Yeah, literally.
Right.
Uh,
And what comes to mind when I say, what's your greatest fear?
ooh, greatest fear. Greatest fear is not um not getting the most out of life. That's my biggest fear. When I get to the end of my life and be like, I could have done more. That's my biggest fear.
Right.
Yeah,
And what do you
that's my
love
biggest
about
fear.
yourself?
Man, I love about myself is that I am I have an ego, but I know how to control that, and I know how to humble myself so that I could learn. Even when I do fail, I could look back and be reflective and realize where I've gone wrong. That's one of the biggest attributes that I'm so thankful that somehow I picked that up somewhere or whether through my mistakes where I could really be reflective and learn from my past experience and be reflective and be really analytical. Good and bad, but I think that's one of my biggest strengths, the
Oh,
analytical side
nice,
in me.
nice.
Yeah.
And what do you love in others?
Me, I think just people's kindness, man. I think people that are kind, something so attractive about that. I mean, like, girl, if this is just for the ladies out there, man, if you're a kind woman and you're attractive, fam, I'll be like, Jesus, Lord, have mercy on me. But that's with everybody, man. I think I love kind people and I like being around kind people because there's
Oh, nice,
something about kindness that's just so peaceful and nice.
nice. Last question. What do you love about animals? This is pets or wild animals, either or both.
Animals, yeah, I think it's just their nature, especially I think the majesticness of it, the way that they are so in tune with their instinct. It's just amazing. That's one thing that I love about animals. It's just they're so, especially wild animals. They're just so wild. I'm just like that is awesome.
Yeah.
Please, like we never change
Yeah.
that because that's just beautiful.
Like I said, I love to watch animals
Yeah.
as much in their sort of natural, undisturbed environment as possible, and you can
Mm-hmm.
they thrive there. You know, they're meant to be there. They live there, and it just reminds me, like, I'm meant to be on this earth. I'm meant to live here. Do I thrive?
Exactly,
And
dude. That's where it's at, man. Yeah,
and
dude.
it's
This has been
been
awesome. This has been
yeah, it's
great.
been cool to get to know you and hear more of your story. And
Yeah, my
yeah,
guy.
appreciate your openness and authenticity to just
Oh,
chat and share yourself. So I learned from this, I grow from this, and
mm.
the listeners will too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, definitely, man. Let's keep the conversation going, man. Either offline and whatnot. But yeah. Anybody that want to reach out to me, dude, feel free. I am an open book. So, love. Thank you so much. So appreciation upon appreciation, my guy. Look, you're a legend, and blessing upon blessing to this podcast. And I hope people that listen to it, this guy's real. This guy's authentic. This guy's good.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Have a beautiful night. I hope you get
Easy, yeah.
a lovely sleep. And I'll catch you.
Easy, man. Yeah. Catch you on the flip side, homie. All right. Bye.
All right. See you later. Bye. thank you so much for being here and listening to the Selfish Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Greenheart, and I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel. Just search Luke Greenheart on YouTube. You'll find me. Check out my website, lukegreenheart.com. Have an amazing day, and stay tuned for more episodes. I'll be interviewing guests on their path of self-development, their path to self, getting to know them in much more intimacy, much more depth, sharing and connecting with all, so we can have a much more blissful, joyful and productive life together. Alright, much love. Have a great day.